Hello and welcome everyone to episode 3 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. Brandon, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Brandon. I'm the English letterer for manga like Dragon Ball Super and Kaiju number 8 and Ayashimon. Trying to get that intro in at the beginning so people...
I was about to congratulate you because you've been saying the last 2 episodes how you did it at the end and was like, oh God, I need to do that at the beginning so people know who I am.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously people already know who you are by this point.
Yeah, it's too late. Yeah, I feel like if there's somebody in the future who's just kind of hopping in randomly, it'll be like, what's Derek talking to this random loser for? I'm like, I work in the manga industry. Not that ever really comes up in these conversations, but it is sort of my struggle for relevancy, you could say.
I guess you could say that. I think it provides an interesting backdrop for your point of view, especially because, hey, you kind of know Japanese. You said a few times you've been reading bits of this in Japanese to kind of compare to our translation here. And I'm really excited to see how the translation evolves as time goes on, because I don't know. I forget the timeline where basically 4 kids dropped it and Viz probably had a bit more freedom with what they did. That said, man, I feel like this set was a bit more violent than what the anime showed for this set of episodes.
Yeah, it's a bit bloody.
Yeah, there's a lot of blood going on, and I know from later in the manga that there is definitely a lot of blood going on, but I'm not used to this early bits where it's relatively bloodless. There's another bit that's definitely bloody, but one bit that I expected to be bloody, another bit that it surprised me how bloody it was, though it kind of makes sense that it is that much. But
yeah.
But let's go ahead and jump right into chapter 11, where last time we left off is Buggy got cut up by Zoro. It was almost too easy. His crew was like, just laughing. And that's basically where we're at. And we have Buggy flayed out on the ground behind Zoro. It's like, there's not a lot of blood there unless they're really censoring it, which you kind of could see them do. It's like, don't have all the giblets there.
Yeah,
it's definitely a wrestling panel where you're like, well, that's different. And it's treated. So I like how you have this page to breathe, these first 2 pages, like the spread, where obviously something's up. Nami doesn't know what's going on. Luffy just wants out. Zoro's kind of just taking it easy while the crew just laughs. And then you get the killer part of the chunk.
Yep.
Ouch.
Zoro just gets stabbed by a floating hand.
Yeah, floating hand with a big old knife just right through the side of his stomach. I don't even know what he was aiming for there because, geez. It looks like he could just sort of turn the knife and just pull out a whole chunk of Zoro with that. Actually, he kind of does looking at the next panel.
Yeah, it is kind of what that looks like. Oof.
Yeah, that's definitely an oof. But yeah, it's kind of wild to see Zoro take this massive hit. Luffy immediately get panicked, which we don't really see too often. And then the pirate crew just laughing their butts off about this going on. Yeah, and then you get the needle drop, the chop fruit.
There we go. After Luffy, this is our first devil fruit reveal. It's kind of a great one, and I want to take the time to appreciate how I think this is starting with Buggy is a good tone setter for these devil fruit powers, because basically what's going on here is, well, I guess as they explain it on the next page is Buggy's a chop man, so he can his body can just kind of come off at any piece and float around and stuff, and I think that's a good tone setter for just how wacky and out there that these powers can get.
Yeah, it seems weird because it's literally pieces of his body flying around. It's a strange visual, but then you think about it in the context of, oh hey, Zoro can't really fight this guy. That's not good.
Not good.
I love the panel of Luffy. A chop man, that guy's a freak. And then just Gum man.
Yeah.
It's just enough levity in there, but because again, I love how threatening Buggy is.
Yeah.
He has a real presence despite being a clown pirate,
Yeah. They do a good job of making sure that he's still a threat. And I mean, yeah, getting a clean hit on Zoro like that is definitely more than enough of a threat.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the more I read the manga and sort of absorb it and take the time to look at these, I'm definitely drawn in by how much white space is really used at times, where you don't really see, you only see the character. There's nothing really behind him. You get the kind of necessary effects, but your eyes are drawn to the character so much that it works. You don't need those extra details. You have sort of their place until you need to establish a new place. And I don't know. I just find myself more and more impressed by the manga and what's sort of accomplished with it.
Yeah, I imagine, like, because when you're like a rookie manga artist, you don't have, or I guess it's more like you don't have like the budget and the clout to pay for a whole ton of assistants. Mm-hmm. So I imagine, like, for a lot of manga, like, sort of by just sort of like starting out amateur manga artists, the background art and like the effects and stuff aren't super detailed, but that is something that I think like evolves as the series goes on. Like some because just it is impressive on another level how detailed a lot of the background art can get for what is a weekly manga.
That is true. Again, it's something just to impart about, maybe pay attention to, both myself and all of our listeners, see how they feel about the art's evolution as time goes on. Yeah. And again, we get another interesting Luffy moment where we're seeing him angry a bit more consistently this time. He's upset about Zoro getting stabbed and shouting at Buggy, calling him Big Nose, immediately sending off his crew and Buggy. Yep. Though I gotta point out something here. Stabbing someone in the back, that's fighting dirty. And I think back to the first chapter and Shanks's guy just shooting the head. It's like, we don't fight fair. It's like, I don't think Luffy took that lesson.
I'm kind of surprised that we didn't have sort of the same back and forth here. Like, I was kind of expecting Buggy to be like, well, of course it's fighting dirty. Like, duh.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was a little too disturbed by the Big Nose comment because he's a little sensitive.
Yeah, that's true.
But we got to show how just awesome Luffy is at all times, because you get that, like, immediately send out his arm with the knife to stab Luffy in the cage. And it kind of looks like it's hitting so hard that one, Luffy's flying back. Two, the cage seems like it's flying back. It's just, that's how much power is getting put behind this. And nope, we get a classic da-dum, where it's like he captured the knife in his mouth and bit it in half.
Yeah, he bit it in half. I didn't notice that the first time I looked at that panel. Like, I had to look back at it, and I was like, oh, wait, he didn't just catch it. Like, he bit it in half.
Mm-hmm. That is, I mean, we saw what Luffy's teeth was doing to the cage, so it's like,
that's true.
This tracks.
Yeah, that's some strong teeth.
I'm guessing you didn't get a chance to check out the Japanese version, because I swear I'm going to clobber you. It is not. It doesn't really have that much oomph to it, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm going to make an educated guess, because it is a phrasing that Luffy uses a lot. It's probably "buttobus" in Japanese. Mm-hmm. Which basically means like I'm gonna kick your butt, I'm gonna send you flying. The Funimation dub uses a little more coarse version of that phrasing typically, but it tends to be something like that. Yeah, I don't think clobber is accurate. Probably, again, I'm just making an educated guess. I didn't read the Japanese in time for this episode.
Right. It just sounds a bit kiddish and more like Thing from Fantastic Four. Like, it's clobbering time. It's like, I'm sorry, I hear clobber. That's all I think about. So I love this.
Very true.
I mean, it's funny. It still works. It's just not maybe as the pow with the clobber bit. Mm-hmm. And we got Luffy just completely confident that he's not going to die, and Nami despairing. Saying, "Oh boy, we're dead."
Yeah, she's the normal one in this situation, just kind of freaking out about all the nonsense that's going on right now.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate for her, because it's just like, oh god, there's these weirdos all around me, and I'm just the audience surrogate. Like, what is going on here? This is how did I get myself in this situation? We have another example of how well Zoro and Luffy work together already.
Oh yeah,
he tells them to run, and Zoro gets it. And, I like that Nami even interjects in here. It's like, I'm not going anywhere. We're trying to save you, and they'll kill you the moment we leave. Like, she still cares about Luffy at this point. It's a great little moment for both characters. Again, showing off the friendship already between Luffy and Zoro, and all just, how Nami is. But as soon as Zoro starts running off, she's like, oh God, they're already escaping and I'm going to be left behind. And we're in trouble. I'm dead.
I think there's kind of a running theme here, as we'll sort of get into with this batch of chapters, but like there's sort of like this expectation versus reality thing going on with Nami, where how she thinks that pirates act, and Luffy and Zoro are sort of like constantly and consistently sort of subverting her expectations. Like you know, because she's here freaking out like, oh God, they're about to run. You know, pirates always run, and you know, now she's gonna have to figure things out for herself. And there's just more examples of this in this batch of chapters where she thinks that all pirates act one way, and then, you know, Luffy sort of has his own sort of like morality that counteracts that.
You kind of see how she starts coming around on Luffy.
Yeah, exactly.
Through these chapters. That is a big through line in this set. Mm-hmm. But also we get one of the coolest moments in these early bits, just because Zoro grabbing the cannon, flipping it around the other way, and then lighting the match to send the buggy bomb at Buggy's crew.
It's One Piece's Uno reverse card.
Yeah, exactly. It is a massively badass moment. Only kind of undone by the fact that nobody is killed in that moment. Like,
yeah.
As we'll see, again, with these buggy bombs, they are really good at taking out buildings. Maybe not so much people.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that on my read through here, but yeah, I mean, of course, you know, they're not gonna defeat the villains that easily, but at the same time, I do think it kind of deflates the threat of the buggy balls, which only gets further deflated as things go on. But yeah, which is perhaps maybe fitting for Buggy.
Yeah, it's showing how kind of ineffective they are against the heroes, but even just his own crew. So, I don't know, but it's still a cool moment to flip it around and completely undermine Buggy by using his own weapons against him.
Yeah, it's a cool and the first of many cool moments that, you know, Zoro does something awesome while he's like dying.
Yeah, I feel like Zoro, especially in these early arcs, gets injured a lot. Like they have to put him on his back foot in order to.
Because if he was at full power, then he would just destroy everybody.
Yeah, but weirdly they don't do that to Luffy, where he's the one getting injured. It's always Zoro who's.
It's always Zoro.
Yeah, he just has some bad luck sometimes and just gets wiped out. But still kind of amazing. But before we get to that moment, I love this other through line for these chapters where Luffy just says, oh yeah, she's our new navigator. And she constantly says, no, I am not.
Yep. It says, if you've already been recruited in Luffy's mind, like you're done. You're a part of it. Your opinion no longer matters.
Yep, that's for sure. Oh boy. As a letter action, I just noticed this. We have Luffy with his big smile when he says our new navigator, but it only says Rin. Obviously it says it's supposed to be Grin. It's not cut off. Well, it's cut off, but I don't think it must be done on purpose. Like, is that how you do it now? Just to squeeze it in that space? Like, I'm curious about your thought process on that one.
Oh no, I think that's a mistake.
Oh.
Because if you notice in that same panel, you see, you know, when Luffy says she's our new navigator, and it's not centered in the word balloon. It's sort of shifted to the right, and we still have to do that because the way that printers work is that like not every book that comes off the printer is like the paper's not cut off in the exact same way, so we have to shift stuff that's close to the edge so that it doesn't to make sure that it doesn't get cut off, basically. And so it's clear that they did that for the dialogue text, but not the sound effect. And sometimes, depending on who's in charge, basically, you know, sometimes like I've had to nudge stuff that would still be readable even if it were partly cut off. And some folks kind of prefer it like just make sure that nothing is in that. We call it the safety area, and it's usually like a couple centimeters around the perimeter of the page. And so I'll have some projects where it's like, yeah, you can let this get cut off as long as it's like mostly in, and then there are some that are like, no, the sound effect has to be completely in the safety.
Okay, I like some insider baseball in this thing. You know, actually looking at having these examples. Yeah, there's some behind the scenes on how that might work sometimes. Because you know, I don't know anything about the industry. I just read it. I'm just here to read.
Yeah, I'm surprised at the very least that like the versions that went up are also cut off somehow.
Maybe that's all they had.
Because you would think, Yeah, it could be. I don't know what the what like the status of the files is over in the office or anything like that, but yeah, they could be like scanned in from print copies or something like that if they didn't have anything else lying around. But yeah, thinking about it, it's weird that like, yeah, it got cut off when it's printed. That wouldn't be an issue if you had like the digital files. But
yeah, they might have just scanned them in, but
beats me.
Yeah,
that could have been all they had. I have no idea.
Something to ponder about. But time. We interrupt that for another badass Zoro moment. Probably like the badass Zoro moment at this point, because Luffy saying, "Hey, don't actually do this. Your guts will come out." And it's just, I'll shove him back in. I'm doing it my way. Picks up Luffy and the cage.
Yes.
And gets out of there carrying all of it, with the pirates,
goodness.
Buggy pirates saying, it took 5 of us to move it. Like, good God, Zoro.
Woo. That's why he's the best.
Yeah. Like, Zoro leaves an impression. There is no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Oh man, I really, really do love this chapter, because all we have really left is they got away. Zoro's still very much bleeding out. There is a ton of blood there, which again, not much of a surprise. It's basically Buggy declaring war on them at this point, and things have ramped up. We got our villain. We got our face off. It's round 1. Let's call it a draw, as they got away, but things are definitely not solved.
Oh boy.
But I love this chapter.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It sort of has everything in it.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to chapter 12, which odd to go from an escape attempt to dog. That's all.
Dog.
The chapter's called Dog. It's like, okay, where's this story going? What's happening here? I'm a little confused. But yeah, Buggy is raising up the crew, saying, we're gonna get these losers that made fools of us and show them what's what, because we're going to raise hell at the Grand Line. Got a really silly joke here where it's like, I can't hear you. No, sir. All right, pipe down.
Yeah.
Just, there's always that through line of kind of silliness. And then we get the introduction of his first mate, which I kind of forgot that he was the first mate. Moji.
Yeah, I did not remember that he was the first mate.
I honestly thought it was our other crewmate that was the first mate. Yeah. Moji does not feel like first mate material to me. I'm sorry.
No. Again, maybe that's part of the joke. It can be hard to tell sometimes with Buggy.
That is true. Like, he tries to be threatening, but I'm sorry. Moji's like 5 o'clock shadow, weird face just kills any threatening part of him.
It's like his whole just the weird round. I was gonna say round nose, but not round like Buggy's, but just like this, his weird little like doodle nose it's so funny.
Yeah, it is wild. Now, granted, his line is obviously threatening, but it's just, I don't know. It's a weird effect.
Yeah.
But we return to Zoro still dragging Luffy through the street, unable to get out. And Zoro's basically like, all right, lost too much blood, resting now. Just passing out.
I love that Luffy's still chewing on the bars.
I swear, he'll get through that eventually. It'll happen.
Yeah, he's working through it.
But he just so happens to have collapsed in front of a dog. Just this random dog with a very long face hanging out in front of a pet food store.
And then Luffy just, I love that he's like, maybe it's dead, and pokes him in the eyes and then gets bit.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that he did he Three Stooges that? I can't quite tell. It kind of looks like he Three Stooges. It kind of
looks like he does,
yeah. But then he just gets bit in the face, which okay, that's some good comedy.
A great little bit of slapstick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then he's fighting the dog from inside the cage, and he's just making a whole mess.
Yeah, these dogs basically getting in the cage as much as possible, biting the heck out of Luffy. Luffy apparently loses. This is collapsed in the cage. Zoro's after stop yelling at him with another big spurt of blood back down on the ground. He's just like, these guys are not in great shape right now. But Nami's back, and again, hey, it's our navigator. But she helped out, handed over the key. Luffy's all set. She's ready to do it. And she's like, all right, Luffy's just excited. The rescue was success. Everything's looking up. And then the dog eats the key.
I had honestly forgotten about this bit before until I read this chapter. That is the reason why we're still stuck in this situation, is that he ate the key.
Yep. I love Luffy freaking out and choking the dog, and that face on the dog is disturbing.
It's disturbing on both of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like there's something wrong with that, but yeah, they're fighting again. You would not think this random dog would be such a key player. I mean, it's called Dog, but who knew?
Yeah, seriously.
But that's when the mayor of this port town shows up, Boodle, and the dog's name is apparently, I want to say, Shushu.
I read it as Chocho, but I don't know.
You know
if
what,
that,
Chocho? That
would
makes
be
sense.
if it were Japanese. I don't know. It could be whatever.
Let's go with Chocho since that makes more sense to me. But yeah, mayor shows up, happens to be near his house, and puts Zoro to bed. Where it's like, hey, you could go to the doctor at the refugee shelter just a while back. It's like, no, I'm just gonna sleep this off.
Yeah, and he does in fact sleep it off.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. What is his constitution?
Yeah, it just works. Like, yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, somehow. Turns out, oh God, I've already forgotten. Chocho? Guarding the pet store, despite the mayor trying to get him to come with him. But the mayor explains that this good friend of his owns the store, and he opened it about 10 years ago, and there's a lot of memories at this place. But unfortunately, yeah, that owner passed away about 3 months ago, and Shosho's been guarding it ever since.
I'm a sucker for a good, like, loyal dog story.
You get it. You just immediately hear that, it's like, oh, he's a good dog. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. He's a good boy.
He's a very good boy. And, he explains that obviously he doesn't believe that his master's still alive. It's just like, this is our treasure. This is his treasure. This is my memory of him. And I don't want to lose that memory. And he wants to guard the store because, the pirates are here. So I think there's that moment where, Luffy has his sort of expressionless face, just sort of looking at him. Yeah. But as soon as you hear treasure, it's like, I think that's going to...
Yep, you hear that? There.
Yep.
We got that word again.
That's sort of a key word here. But even, Nami's like, oh, good boy. And everybody's all excited. But then we get a roar from Moji's lion. And that immediately sends Nami and the mayor running, leaving Luffy and the dog behind.
They just dip.
Yep. It's like, nope, we're out of here. And, can't really blame them. Really can't.
Yeah.
And Luffy's a bit more serious and just like, hey, give me that key. And no such luck. Instead, Moji arrives. Again, how could you take Moji seriously? Especially when you find out it's not a costume. It's his hair.
Yeah. I love Luffy. That just makes it weirder, Luffy says.
It does. He's totally right about this. He styled his hair to look like bear ears. Okay, I'm really hoping that the fur on his chest is of a first sweater, not his own chest hair.
I don't want to think about that. I do think it is interesting because we get some really, really out there character designs in One Piece, and I feel like it isn't so often that a character will just sort of like point blank be like, hey, that's weird. I feel like it is, as the story evolves, it is so much more common for it to be like somebody will play the straight man when something ridiculous is happening, but like they'll just be like, this is my thing, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, they kind of get used to it after a while. It seems.
Yeah. But
this is still kind of brand new, and I still gotta agree with them because
absolutely.
Even compared to later things, Moji, that is weird. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Moji has been a character ever since I first saw him. I was like, I don't like this dude. He is
no
just a little beyond my taste, and that's why it was striking me as so odd that he's being played so serious, like he's being drummed up as this big threat. That said, he's still ridiculous because like there's not an animal alive that I can't control. Here, shake, and gets immediately bitten by Chocho.
I don't think the threat really lasts for that long.
No, that's the great thing is because it's just a one-off panel where he's just like, hey, I can tame this dog. Oh wait, no, I can't. Back on the lion. Even the lion is side-eyeing him at that point.
That's a great little detail.
But yeah, obviously they think Zoro is the bigger threat. So he's asking where Zoro is. And that's when we find out the lion's name of Richie. Okay.
Yeah.
Good old Richie.
Lionel Richie.
Oh my God. That's the joke.
It might be. I'm not actually, I'm just.
If that's the joke and that's on purpose, it took me till this point to even think of that. That's amazing if that's the case. Holy crap. Okay, that's something. But yeah, thanks to Richie, he destroys the cage and Luffy gets free, but is immediately smacked into a house.
Bonked right into a building.
Yep. And it's like, well, he's dead.
Oh, well, I love that this. Well, because I mean, we as the reader already know that Luffy is basically immune to like blunt attacks. So, and he's just, of course, he makes the fatal mistake of like not checking for a body, and is like, well, nobody could survive that.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I'm not in the shonen.
Like, oh, okay.
This that means nothing. They're definitely dead.
He's clearly dead.
Yeah. But for some reason, Richie here decides it wants to have food at the pet store. What the heck is in this pet store?
Yeah, I was going to say, for a lion, it would have to be like live meat or something.
And it's been 3 months. Like, there's no indication that there's any other workers at this pet food store. It's described as tiny. Oh, yeah. So theoretically, it's not even open anymore unless the mayor's running it on the side. I don't know what is in there, but for whatever reason, Richie really wants it. But yeah, and that's like, oh boy, there's our good boy is in trouble, and but hey. Luffy's out of the cage, and he's ready to fight back and get Nami as his navigator. So that's a nice come down chapter. Like, okay, we got the excitement, but there's still like a little bit here, but it's definitely not to the degree of the rooftop. Yeah. I think
it kind of feels like we're working through a side thing before we go back to that conflict.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, this ends up being like sort of hugely important, but.
It does. It helps, but it carries along, but it still doesn't feel as high action as what we had just got to. Which brings us to chapter 13, Treasure. And, oh boy, this is quite the chapter, I think. This is the other chapter I was referring to as in, there feels like there's way more blood. It's been a while since I've watched the anime, but there seems to be a lot more blood here than there is in the anime.
Yeah.
That's when we start off really with Nami and the mayor discovering that Luffy is still alive. And I'm like, how the heck did you survive without even so much of a scratch through a building? That's crazy. And Luffy's like, crazy's good. Who says crazy's bad?
Yeah, crazy's good. I love that.
That is a classic line. The mayor's like, why are you here? Why are you taking on pirates? And Luffy's like, well, can't really say. It's like, well, I kind of got dropped here by a bird and this is all just happenstance. But hey, it works out because I want the map and I want to navigate and I have a navigator to recruit. So that's he has a mission.
So he says,
poor Nami, he's on a mission and that is not good for her. But then we go back to Moji and Chocho, and Chocho's trying to prevent Moji from going in, guarding the shop. And that's when we have Moji versus Richie. And that's a rough fight. He gets swiped across, just bloodied on the side and the cheek. Still
poor dog
barking at him. And in the meantime, to really drive that knife in deeper, here's flashbacks to him and the owner trying to make this work.
This is a better flashback than Zoro.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing as I was reading. It's like, Chocho got a better flashback than Zoro. That's sad.
I mean, it's really easy to make somebody feel bad for a dog because you never want to see dogs get hurt.
Right.
The peaks that you get of just like this nice wholesome relationship with the owner. Yeah, it sells it. It sells the moment really well.
I mean, it helps that they're basically like they have the same look on their face as through all these. It's like, yay, it's all finished. oh, business is slow. This stinks. It's laughing at the mayor. We're both laughing at the same thing, and it's all great.
Yeah.
And the meanwhile, Chocho getting a pretty decent bite in on Richie before getting slammed to the ground, blood shooting out of him. It's like, oh God, and he's still getting up. Oh, this dog. It is really just heart-wrenching, especially because you go back to Luffy and he has no idea.
Yeah, no idea that any of this is happening.
He's just like, let's go back to it, see how Zoro's doing. And Richie and Moji's walking off, and Luffy comes around the corner. And that's the thing that got me. That I saw the barking. I forgot about this moment. I was like, I was expecting to find him like kind of just completely messed up, like hanging on, but just roughed up, like almost on death's door.
Yeah.
But they changed up and went for something almost worse. They torched the pet store.
Well, I definitely think rather than just having Chocho being hurt, given that this, like, the title of the chapter is treasure, the whole theme of this arc is about treasure, and so this is the dog's treasure getting like burned right in front of his eyes. And I think that is sort of the motivator that Luffy has. Like, he just has the stare on his face as the store is burning. Yeah. We're into the situation now where everything is horrible and we want Luffy to put it back into place. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Luffy just maintains that same stoic look on his face where, overall Luffy's very carefree, kind of dumb, but he has those moments where he just sort of like, you can see it in his eyes where he's taking in much more than you'd ever think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just like sort of just observing as the observer, and it's like, I got to step in on this. And it's heartbreaking. It's just to see Chocho just barking and crying, actually crying, and, getting the text back, and it's like, ugh. And then it's off to doom for Moji and Richie, because just seeing that, and you think at first like, oh, he's just going to be kind of lighthearted about this. Like he's smiling and declaring he's a rubber man and all of that. It seems like not much. And, obviously Luffy takes down Richie no problem with, what is it? Gum Gum Gavel, which that's a wild look.
I don't know if this move ever comes up again.
I don't think
when
so.
He uses it here, I've completely forgot about this one. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool move. He just like, he wraps his arms around each other and just like grabs Richie by the face and like slams him into the ground.
I know, he plants Richie.
It's like a wrestling move. Here comes the Gum Gum Gavel.
Yeah, exactly. It is truly just wrestling incarnate. And Moji's just freaking out. I was like, oh God, he just body slammed my lion into the ground. and while Luffy's telling about how he's actually a devil fruit user. And Moji's immediately just like, okay, I give up. Let me go live. I'm out.
Yep.
That's when we get the real hammer drop where Luffy is like, that face is so good.
Oh yeah. When seeing him just genuinely angry.
Yeah.
You don't mess with other people's treasure.
No. If it's somebody Luffy likes and it's their treasure, that is it. And God, I love that face of Luffy's, and he just scorpions Moji just like get over here. Yep. I really do think that punch is a finishing move of Luffy's at a certain point, because I feel that like that's very common where it's just like, get over here. Luffy hits you like that, you are basically done.
Yeah, you have almost the entire page dedicated to that one that one strike, and it's just, oh man, it's so good.
It looks brutal too.
Oh yeah.
But then we return to Chocho, who's just looking at the burning remains of the pet store, which, man, that was a really controlled fire.
Oh yeah, it managed to not burn down the surrounding buildings.
Yeah, I'm impressed. And it's time for some Nami character development, where she's just hating on pirates. They're all the same. Basically, immediately turning on Luffy because, like, oh yeah, these are what pirates are like. The lion should have eaten you. I should kill you before you can go pillage towns like these pirates. Luffy, again, just sort of doesn't really respond. Only says that she couldn't beat him.
He just sticks his tongue out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, nah, you can't do anything. And just lets his action speak, where he gives the last remaining box of pet food to Cho-Cho and just has this nice heart-to-heart with him.
Yeah, what a great moment.
I know this. There's a reason Luffy's just such a great character. He stands out. Like, he has those elements of many shonen protagonists.
I think it's important to show him like doing the right thing. You know, it's not just about like getting revenge and beating up the bad guy, as much as, you know, like setting the record straight and doing what's right by doing right by the victim. Nami seeing this play out is sort of like a good, like, she's finally seeing that, you know, Luffy's kind of built different.
Yeah. It's basically like, as you said, it's not about the revenge. It's about setting things right. Luffy could have been going just trying to beat down Moji, but he did rescue that pet food box. Obviously, Cho-Cho can't really do much, but he just takes the box, barks a few times as an appreciation, and off he goes. But we're back with Buggy, and it's time for more Buggy Balls. And it's like, okay, all right, things are still kind of bad right now. There's still this crazy clown pirate out there. After this heartwarming
it really does
moment.
kind of feel like a side quest.
Yeah, it really does. Like, all right, help the dog. Okay, sure. So yeah, chapter 14, Reckless. Somehow Moji's moving enough that both him and Richie got back to Buggy and is struggling to tell him that, hey, the straw kid beat me because he has the rub. He's a rub man. Beware the rub.
Rub man.
And I love this. Beaten by a masseur? If this gets out, our reputation scuttled.
Yeah. Again, I have to imagine. Wish I had time to read this chunk of chapters in Japanese, but this is a great localization of whatever joke was here in Japanese. I don't know what it was, but the sort of play on like he gets cut off before he can say what it was, and you know they sort of like, well, this is what it would be like in English, you know, like if you're trying to say rubber, you just like stop at rub, then, you know, like
yeah, it's like, well,
it's funny, it's still funny, which is what's important, and you can't always pull that off with wordplay. Sometimes you're just like,
you're trying your best. It's like almost. I can imagine that, like, translating puns has to be one of the roughest jobs about Japanese translation.
Yep.
Whew. But real quick, back to Cho-Cho, who's made it to the refugee shelter, and all the people are talking about, there's Cho-Cho, but where the heck's the mayor? And, oh, right, the mayor really loves this town. Let's hope he doesn't take any risks out there. It's like, yeah, that's set up.
Oh boy.
And immediately paid off because he's just like, I can't stand it no more. He has to go take care of things.
He's ready for a fight.
Yep. Not before, though, that Nami does apologize to Luffy. I think that's kind of a key moment. And also how, like, he's like, yeah, I get it. You lost some of the pirates, but I don't need to hear any details. And that's him. He doesn't need to know your backstory. That's just like, this is where you are now. It's like, all right, I get it. It's cool.
Yeah.
The mayor's all set to fight back. Time to take the fight to Buggy, get our town back. Luffy's all right behind him. It's like, yeah, well said. Nami's just like, hey, don't encourage him. But time for mayor backstory. Okay, I gotta ask. Mayor backstory better than Zoro's?
That's a good question. I didn't think anything of it, but
no.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'll go ahead and say no, but it's probably closer than it should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely better paced, but I mean, you get it. He built this town up from nothing. They managed to get it to a bustling port town in 40 years. This town is his treasure. You kind of get it, but for whatever reason, it doesn't hit quite as hard as Cho-Cho, and that. Which is interesting because he's all about, like, this is my town, this is my treasure, I'm trying to protect this building. And Cho-Cho is also about, hey, I'm trying to protect this specific building. But I think because we have a character behind it, Cho-Cho's hits that much more.
I agree. Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting kind of comparison.
Yeah, but it is enough, at least, of him explaining why he's about to do the thing that he's about to do, that it ties back into the overarching theme of the arc, which is like, this is my treasure and I'm going to protect it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And as soon as he says he's ready to fight, Buggy Ball. just blowing up that whole line of buildings.
Yeah, I did not. I forgot that this happened, and so like the fact that just sort of with no warning, you go from the mayor saying "I'm gonna fight," and then you turn the page, and it's just like fire the buggy ball.
Yeah,
it's this whole spread of it destroying the town.
It's this rousing speech for like 2 pages, and then bam, just like, well, let's undercut him.
Oh, and I love Luffy's reaction specifically. It's like, hey, Zoro was sleeping in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh no,
my house. Oh no, my first
After
mate.
that whole speech,
and then again, buggy balls. Not great against humans. It doesn't really kill humans. It just really messes up buildings.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, he just not even less of a scratch on him than what Buggy had after the buggy ball.
Yeah, stabbing him is really effective, but throwing a giant, or just like hitting him with a giant cannonball, it's fine.
Yeah, it's just nothing. You don't need to worry about it. But hey, Zoro's awake. I don't know. He really didn't seem to get that much of a nap. I'll be honest. That was what, maybe an hour.
Yeah, I was gonna say there hasn't been much time passing between chapters.
It feels longer in the anime just because they stretch things out, expand it, and got all those flashbacks. So it's like, okay, it feels like a decent amount of time is going by, but in this it's like, all right, how was your cat nap?
Yeah this beat is a lot faster than I remember it being.
exactly But yeah, that's still, well, one, we got another common thing with Nami here is like, how did he live through that? Like her just slowly understanding, just like, what are these people?
She'll get used to it.
Yeah, you eventually do, but it is one of those like, what is happening? But this sets the mayor off even further. He grabs his spear. He's off to fight. He knows he's being reckless, and it's enough to kind of shock Nami, and Zoro and Luffy are both ready to they sort of just watch after him. It's an interesting exchange here where Nami was like, the mayor was crying. It's like Luffy's like, it didn't look that way to me.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
And you look at that previous thing, he's definitely crying, but
he's crying. Yeah,
I guess because he's standing up for it.
Yeah.
So, but fortunately for the mayor, Luffy likes him. He won't let him get killed. We finally get a kind of alliance between Nami and Luffy, where she's like, all right, I'll help, but I'm not a pirate.
They've got a common goal, and that's enough.
Yep, that's all she needs. And just as Buggy is readying the second cannon fire, out comes the mayor to challenge Buggy to a fight. And man, I'm impressed with how kind of badass they made the mayor look. Like those dark shadows.
All the lines on his face. Like, he looks surprisingly threatening.
It is like mayor versus clown, both looking oddly threatening. And it's like, you know what? I'm down.
Yeah, he's got this talent for making these goofy characters look kind of cool.
He really does. It's definitely time for a fight because Zoro's undoing the armband. Time to put that as a headband. That's Get Serious face. And the absolutely ridiculous exchange between Nami and Zoro. What happened to your wounds? They got better.
I feel like that's sort of lampshading, just like, okay, we need Zoro to be sort of like at full-ish capacity for this fight. So like, he's just better now.
Yeah, he's fine. Again, his constitution is amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
And
he took a short rest.
Yeah, it's amazing. Honestly, what's amazing is how fast these chapters fly by, because there's not quite. We're finally at the point where it's not as much to analyze about these. Where we're definitely just in the story itself, showing this stuff off. But it's also kind of exciting. Like this is a good build up. Like it's honestly a surprisingly short break between leaving Buggy's base and going back to it.
Yeah, we just kind of had that one little thing with the dog, which was like 2 chapters, and now we're back.
Yeah, just really quick, and it's like, all right, we got enough to rest. It's time to get in there and actually get this fight started. That said, I don't quite understand Chapter 15's title, Gong. I don't remember a gong in this chapter.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Unless it's supposed to be like a fight gong or something like that.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, we got Mayor Boodle challenging Buggy. Nobody really taking it seriously. But it's time for our second mate, Kabaji the Acrobat, to get into this.
This guy's a character.
He is utterly ridiculous. He is riding a unicycle, balancing a top on his sword, and spinning another, I guess, dagger in his hand.
Yeah.
why is this guy the second mate and not the first mate? Because he is so
Seriously.
much cooler than Moji.
He's just waiting for his time, you know?
Yeah. He pulls his sword out of his mouth. I'm sorry, that's a cool circus act to tie in with Buggy. That's great.
Seriously. Wait, was the top also in his mouth? The top that he's spitting on the, I don't know.
They don't show. It wouldn't surprise me. That's weird. And then we got some piratisms. Avast, fool. He challenged me.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like they got a little carried away with it.
A little bit. It's like when you hear Avast, it's like, that's not really One Piece. An Arg is fine, but an Avast, it's a little too far.
Yeah, you got to time it right, you know.
Yeah, but then we get a clashing of ideals where we got the mayor's like, the town is my treasure. I'm going to protect it, and Buggy just laughing him off. It's like, no, the treasure is gold and jewels. That's what really matters, and it's an interesting dichotomy we have here, where the mayor and Luffy is like, and Chocho are all like, these objects are special to me and therefore my treasure, while Buggy and even Nami are like, no, money and jewels are treasure.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how Nami is a bit like Buggy, but obviously she has a lot more of a conscience, and it's just directed at pirates.
Yeah, I think it's good that he was able to balance. There are sort of multiple characters with different perspectives. It's not like just Buggy is the only one sort of like cackling evilly, like, ah, ha, 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 your treasures are meaningless, they mean nothing to me. But there's sort of multiple sides to it. There's like because Nami has a similar perspective, but she hates pirates and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's different aspects to it.
And then you have the actual fight between the mayor and Buggy, and it's basically an excuse to be like, okay, here's what he did to the pirate that he killed before.
Oh, yeah, we got the force choke again.
Yeah, I got the force choke where he actually can see the hand. And
yeah,
it's kind of brutal because the mayor starts punching
he's coughing up blood.
Yeah, I don't know whether he's coughing up blood because he's getting squeezed by Buggy, or if he's coughing up blood because he's punching the hand of Buggy, which is causing it to constrict and have him cough up blood. Buggy says he's punching himself in the throat. Like, wow.
Yeah, either way, yeah. Like it's kind of hard to tell from the art if he's like I sort of read it as him like punching the hand, but if he's trying to punch his own throat to set him free, like that's pretty hardcore.
It really is. Like I don't know how punching your own throat helps, but the sense of desperation here, where Buggy is just like, no, the treasure is treasure, and you cannot stop me. I'm going to just kill you, and that way you don't get to see what I'm actually going to do to your town, your treasure. And it's just going to end it. After the final desperate declaration from the mayor, a little twitch happens with Buggy where he realizes, oh, hey, this Straw Hat kid's back, and he's holding my hand. It's like, oh, you're back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knew? Got Nami immediately setting out like, okay, you guys fight. I'm just going to take the map and the treasure. Don't, I'm not in this.
A very, very Nami move. She's just going to kind of sneak around the back.
Exactly. And then we have a very interesting exchange between Luffy and the mayor where it's like, the mayor's like, no, this is my fight. I'm not letting outsiders do this. And Luffy shoves his face into a pole or a brick wall or something.
Yeah.
Which looks more damaging than anything Buggy was doing to him.
Yeah, he's bloodied up and his glasses are broken.
2 teeth are missing. It's like, Luffy, I think you did it a little too strong. Again, he's doing good things in kind of callous ways where he's just like, well, he was in the way. And of course, Zoro having to soften the blow. It's like, oh, he would have gotten himself killed. He's better off unconscious.
Yeah, but he's looking in pretty rough shape. More so from Luffy than from Buggy.
Yeah, really. It's like, that poor guy. This mayor's having a rough day. But yeah, then we got Luffy calling out Buggy once again, calling him Big Nose, which is just enough. And it's time for the Buggy Ball because, Buggy does not enjoy that at all.
Yeah.
And we get the introduction of Gum Gum Balloon.
Where he's able to just like shoot the cannonball back.
Yeah. It shoots the cannonball back, doesn't work on him, really shows how blunt objects are really Again, it's a nice dichotomy between Luffy and Buggy, where Luffy can be hurt by sharp objects, but not blunt objects. And it's we can assume the opposite for Buggy.
Oh, that's a good observation. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's a nice clash between the two of them.
Yeah, they're kind of opposite powers.
Yeah, they kind of even out in a way. But I love how just these introduction of new abilities that Luffy has. Up to this point, we were only getting stretches. The rocket, the pistol, all of it involved stretching out Luffy's arms. This is the first sign that he can blow himself up. It's a cool little, it just shows how much you can do with the rubber powers, and really I think gives an idea of just how much Oda will expand upon devil fruits and use them to just the weirdest and unknown ways as time goes on.
Yeah, very much so. More than you could imagine.
I really can't, honestly. I have no idea how a lot of these are going to go. It makes me kind of excited to see all the new devil fruit powers as time goes on. But yeah, they once again, Buggy gets hit by a Buggy bomb. That time the pub is fully taken out. Nami gets to fully freak out about what the heck is Luffy.
Yeah. Her sense of reality is slowly breaking down.
It really is. This is something she's just never seen before. And I love how in the span of 5 chapters, Buggy got hit by 2 Buggy balls, and they're not even pretending that this took him out. It's just
no, not at all. But
obviously, okay, the fight is starting. That's what's coming up here, because I actually caught me off guard because I hit the next page and oh, it's over. When that happened.
Yeah, I didn't think that's where the chapter is going to end, but I guess it's we're here in it. We're in this. We're in the fight now.
Yeah, it's all the pieces are in place. We have our 2 remaining fighters because I think it's safe to say once Kabaji pulled out that sword, it's okay, there's Zoro's opponent.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yep. Because of course,
typically yes.
Because I don't think Zoro's going to do too well against Buggy. Call it a hunch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like this set of chapters. It's maybe not as important to the grand scheme of things as we were talking about for the first 2 episodes, but I think we're settling into a nice pattern.
Yeah, we're kind of moving things along is how I would describe this little batch of chapters.
Yeah, it's hitting its stride. This is kind of how longer arcs will go from this point. And
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Again, chapter 11, probably my favorite of the bunch of this. It's just such a fun moment.
Yeah, it's a great. I love the sort of devil fruit reveals in One Piece, especially when they're built up to, because you'll have a lot of these where you see something happening and you're like, that's not right. Or this is obviously some character's devil fruit power, but they're being a little a little coy with sort of revealing it outright.
Yeah, time to inspect
once you actually see
figure it out, and okay, can we predict what kind of devil fruit this guy has before he actually reveals it? I can imagine that's kind of fun as time goes on.
Yeah. I definitely I love sort of that build up.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I call this a great set of chapters. I'm still really enjoying it, and I think the pacing. I'm really enjoying the pacing of this. It feels a lot punchier than
it's quick.
The anime.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, it's
which will be a running theme, but
yeah. I wondered if I'd missed some of the expansions on it, but I did find when I watched the anime portion of this back in the day that the Chocho stuff took a little too long.
Yeah, it was like I had said earlier, it was reading the manga version was shorter than I remember it.
Absolutely. But with that, I believe we've said all we wanted to say about chapters 11 to 15 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. Brandon, where can they find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about manga, talking about games, talking about anime, the works.
Yeah, the most important things in life, obviously.
Yeah.
And of course, if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 16 to 20 of One Piece. And we see how this fight between Luffy and the Buggy Pirates plays out. Until then, my friends, bye.
Bye-bye.
Sorry, but that's all I could say for you. That bastard lion ate all the rest of it.
He fought the lion in order to save the dog's food?